Hey guys, did you guys know that the language in Siargao isn't actually Cebuano or Bisaya? Yep, it's something completely different. But I know people from Luzon or the tourists or the foreigners who actually think it's the same. So what do they really speak in Siargao? Well, they speak a language called Surigaonon. And no, it's not a dialect of Cebuano. It's really a language of its own. It has its own structure, vocabulary, and identity. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking that, whoa, I've always known that it was a dialect. I've learned in school that it was a dialect. And that's where the common misconception or the common misinformation is. You see, the difference between a language and a dialect is something called mutual intelligibility. If two people who speak the same language but different dialects, they'll probably understand each other. But if two people are using two different languages and they speak to each other, they really won't understand each other. And this is the case with Cebuano and Surigaonon. So yeah, let's take a closer look at Surigaonon and Cebuano and see if they're actually different. So in Cebuano, when we want to say good morning, we say maayong buntag. But in Surigaonon, we say Marajaw na buntag. Now I know this might seem like a small difference, but the word maayo and Marajaw are actually different. And if we look at the other words, like for example, when we say, can you fix this? In Cebuano, we say, maayo ninimo. But in Surigaonon, we say, madajaw mo ini, right? And for common words like I don't know, Cebuano uses ambot, Surigaonon uses inday. And for these basic words, unsa is uno in Surigaonon, asa is hain, kanusa is kinono, which are actually different. Wala, of course, that's a smaller difference. But the word for hubog is bayong, init is paso, lamok is hina. And one phrase, for example, where are you? In Cebuano is hain ka, while it's Surigaonon, it's hamang kao. So it's actually very different. You know, the first time I realized that Surigaonon and Cebuano were actually two very different languages was when I met someone in Cebu, and she told me that when she would go to Siargao, she would actually use Filipino or Tagalog to communicate with the locals. And I was surprised because I grew up speaking a variant or a dialect of Surigaonon, which is a Tinandag or the Yaon Yaon version. And I was surprised that she couldn't understand it because I thought people from Cebu, people who speak Bisaya, could actually understand it. But no, it was actually just me because I grew up in Surigao del Sur, the neighboring province of Surigao del Norte. Here's another interesting thing. In Socorro, the island just to the south of Siargao, they actually speak Socorronhon here, which is interesting because it's closer to Bulanon, which is a Cebuano dialect, than it is to Surigaonon. And I haven't completely analyzed it, but there are some papers that I've looked at and they seem to suggest the same. So why does all this delineation between the different languages even matter? Well, when we lump up all Visayan and Mindanao languages into one, I'll just call them Bisaya or Cebuano, we sort of erase the identity of the smaller language groups. And in places in Siargao, where tourism is booming now, showing a bit of effort to understand and know what the local language really is, even just saying Marajaw na buntag instead of good morning or, using a Cebuano version really goes a long way. And I get it. I've lived in Metro Manila for more than 10 decades now, and I have seen how this confusion can happen. But after spending more time in Surigao, I've come to really understand why local identity matters. So if you're heading to Siargao, whether to surf, work, or stay long term, just remember they speak Surigaonon. Ayo ayo everyone. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, hit like, drop a comment, or share it with someone planning to visit Siargao. I'll be posting more stories like this about language, culture, and hidden truths from the island.